I want to make sure my waist is very, very, very as tight as I can make it outside of my own genetic ability. I'm not going to come on stage and have a tight classic physique waist.
Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of, well, I don't know how interesting today's updates are, but we got a couple of updates nonetheless. Before we start, I want to wish Merry Christmas to all the Serbs who are watching this video, to all the Orthodox Christians all over the world. Srećan Božić, Hristos se rodi. Now let's get started with the video. So basically the first thing we're going to talk about today is Samson's new sponsor. And it seems like it's most likely MyProtein. Now, I haven't tried MyProtein before, but from what I'm hearing, it's not exactly a high-quality brand compared to Hostile or compared to Blackstone Labs or the other brands like Raw that we talked about or ESN. Those brands are really high-quality. MyProtein, from what I'm hearing, is not that great, but they are a big company as well. I think they're based in the UK, and the reason why people figured out that it's actually MyProtein is because Ryan Terry, who is also sponsored by the same company, posted the same stories of being in a factory. So Samson posted those stories of being in a factory, checking out how the production is done, because obviously if Samson doesn't see how the products are produced, he's not going to sign with a company just based on their name, right? He needs to see it. He needs to make sure that it's all done properly. Yeah, right. It's just a show, but yeah, he's picking his sponsor very, very wisely. He's just waiting for the best offer to come in. And yeah, of course, he's gonna choose a sponsor that's gonna probably sponsor him for a long time. He's probably gonna try to maintain that integrity that he had with Hostile, but the reason why he left Hostile has to be the fact that he wasn't paid enough and he wants to earn more money. So, of course, money is the number one thing after all. Let's be real here. Now, somebody also says that it could be Olive Nutrition from Poland, but it seems like it's actually MyProtein. Now, like I said, I don't know how interesting today's updates are, because why do we even care who is Samson going to be sponsored by next? I mean, I don't care too much personally. The reason why it was interesting that he parted ways with Hostile, it was because of Fuad. Because, yeah, you guys know, Nick Walker left Hostile and Ford, Nathan the Asher left him, Justin Shire, recently Martin Fitzwater, now Samson Dauda as well. And, you know, it's interesting because of that, because Ford is a public personality, and it's not just the Hostile as a brand, it's also Ford. So it was basically a potential drama between those two guys, but really, which company sponsors Samson? I don't think that should be an interesting story, but yeah, it's all over social media, so I thought I should chime in. What I'm doing right now is I'm just talking, whatever, to make this segment of the video last longer, but really I'm not saying anything too interesting, and I don't know why you guys are even listening to me right now, but yeah, Samson Dauda is probably going to be sponsored by MyProtein. If that's something you care about, now you know, I guess. That's it. You guys tell me down below whatever you think. Alright, the next thing we got is a physique update by Keone Pearson in his off-season. Now, you guys know that Keone Pearson right now is coachless, or he's being coached by his wife, which I don't know if we can classify that as having a coach, even though his wife is an actual coach. She coaches other people, but it's definitely not the same as having a coach who's going to be your authority. With your wife, you can argue, you can have your own input, your own say. With a coach who you respect, who you actually pay for, you're going to do as they say. So in this situation, I don't know, you can say that Keone Pearson is semi-coached. I don't know. Now, with his wife, it's also like their dynamic is very interesting, because she's a dominant person in the relationship. You know, it's not the vice versa. I would say with Samson, it's different. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But from what I saw from Keone and his wife, it seems like she's dominating that relationship. So maybe she's going to have more authority over Keone, and he's actually going to listen to her. Now, how much will that affect his look in a positive or a negative way? We're about to find out this year, because it seems like Keone is most likely switching to the open. How sure about that am I? I'm guessing that's probably going to happen, because, you know, he already was cutting weight to make the 212 last year. And I know that with Patrick Tour, he was always going off after the Mr. Olympia. Is he doing that this year based on his look right here and the other updates I saw? I don't know if he's actually going, if he's actually off. You know, it seems like he's actually forcing progress. And also, recently he wrote an interesting caption in which he says, underdog mentality, because he almost lost, quote unquote, to Sean Clarida. Keone is not an underdog. Definitely not. He still won the freaking Mr. Olympia even though he was off. And he was off. Not terribly off, but he was off. And that was the best Sean Clarida ever. And Keone still won. That does not make him an underdog. Even though he probably would like to be an underdog, it's easier to, to push harder when you're an underdog compared to when you're on the top of the hill. But in his case, he is definitely on the top of the hill still. If he doesn't want to hear that, if he wants to believe his delusion about being an underdog, that's fine. But let's be real, Keone Pearson is definitely not an underdog. He would be an underdog, though, if he went to the Open. So if he wants to be an underdog, he should just switch to the Open. That's the only way he's going to be the underdog, not in the 212. In the 212, he can come in off, and the next best guy, he can be 110%, his best all time, and he still wins. That's not a definition of an underdog. So he's still a Mr. Olympia. He won it 3 times now. And if he wants to go to the Open, I think he can be pretty successful because he was 4th at the Prague Pro, but that's arguable. He could have probably placed a bit higher. Maybe they gave it to Križo because he's sponsored by the EVLS. Maybe Keone could have placed above Križo. So, if he gains a little bit more size, he can definitely be in that mix with the top guys. So we'll see if he's going to actually make that move. But I think he's focused on growth. And if he actually puts on more size, it's very reasonable he actually is going to switch to the Open. And again, as he says, underdog mentality. He won't have underdog mentality in 212. If he wants to have that, the only way will be to move to the Open. So maybe that is his plan. Maybe. Based on his look right here, he does look crazy. He might be cruising right now. I don't think he's blasting because he doesn't look bigger than before. But give him a couple of months. Let's wait and see what he looks like in May or April or a little bit later in June. I think he's going to be super, super huge. And at that point, we'll probably figure out if he's going to stay in the 212 or actually move to the Open. But as of right now, this is what we got. You guys tell me down below whatever you think. All right, the next thing we got is something that I would say is kind of interesting. It's actually Nick Walker addressing his midsection. He talks about his plans in a video format, actually, what he plans on doing with a midsection and how he feels about it. Like, does he think that it's too big or too small or small enough or whatever? Let me play this for you guys.
But I'm still very hungry, but I want to make sure my waist is very, very, very as tight as I can make it outside of my own genetic ability. I'm not going to come on stage and have a tight classic physique waist, but for how wide I am, keep it really, really tight. I think that's just going to create a very, very good look for me.
Perfect. That's all we want to see. We are not expecting Nick to bring in a crazy deep vacuum or a tiny classic physique waist. No, just practice the vacuums and learn how to use those transverse abdominis and just control that midsection. Control it, keep it tight, keep it flat. That's all. And the only way he's going to learn how to do that is by practicing vacuums or attempting to do a vacuum. That's the only way to strengthen the transverse abdominis, that and planks, I guess. But in his case, I don't know, doing planks and training your entire core with his ability to put on muscle and with the size of his waist right now, maybe it's not the smartest idea because it might grow his midsection even more, make it thicker. So in his case, maybe just doing the vacuums is the best thing, the only thing he needs to do. Now, in a lot of his recent physique updates that he has been posting, the focus has been on his midsection. So that's a good thing. That's definitely a positive thing. It doesn't look great, to be honest, in all of the photos. For example, in this one, it looks pretty terrible. So it's not going to be a completely new midsection, whatever he does. But if he's focused on it, if he's showing us photos of it, and he's telling us that he's doing the vacuum work, there is a very big possibility that it's going to be better. How much better? 20%, 10%, 5%, 30%, whatever it is, it's still good. It's still progress. It's still an improvement. And that's the only kind of improvement we need to see from Nick Walker. That, and of course, nailing the peak, bringing the condition that he didn't do at a Mr. Olympia. If he repeats the look from the Pittsburgh Pro, let's say, or he brings the conditioning from the Arnold Classic 2023, and his midsection is 20% better, that's a dangerous package, man. Now, do I see him winning the Arnold Classic against those guys like Kari, Andrew, Martin, and the others? Probably not. You know, I can see him beating most of those guys, but I just can't see him surpassing Andrew Jack unless Andrew Jack fails badly and doesn't nail the conditioning. But realistically, for Nick to win the Arnold Classic, he needs to be 100% on, and the other three guys need to be off. The likelihood of that happening is not very high. So, no, personally, I don't have him winning the Arnold Classic, but if I just see an improved version of Nick in the Arnold Classic, that will be amazing. Just that. Whatever you guys think is gonna happen, tell me down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you soon, guys. All the best, and bye-bye.